expect from Call Gaming. They're, as you mentioned, maybe the last seed, but they do have some pretty interesting strats up their sleeve, and they're not too worried about Coast. That was kind of the sense I got from them.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is going to be that they are competing in the collegiate scene. They're not too worried about Coast, and even if they end up losing here, they are front runners for collegiate stuff. So there's a lot of things here. They're going to take this as experience, even if they walk away getting 2-0'd, or if they 2-1, you know, they can definitely learn from that. But if they end up going to the next round, that's even bigger for them and a huger upset for Coast, because Coast, they've since brought on 2 ex-LCS pros from Europe with Jezzes and Impaler.
We'll see what they do here. So, as we mentioned, we're in pick ban now. Jace Thresh banned away. Not too surprising to see, but yeah, I think Coast's new lineup is going to be a really, really solid thing for them, bringing in a lot of that talent from across the pond. And Impaler, in particular, has stepped up incredibly since he's moved off Super Hot Crew. Yeah,
and they also brought in Chris from Curse Academy to fill in that top lane role, which originally had Brux, and then he went away, and then they ended up getting Ringer in the top lane, and it just didn't work out for them. And now they had to fill that void, so that's where those 3 new members are coming in. They still have Mash and Sheep in the bot lane, though, one of the best bot lanes in Challenger. And we always say that Mash is probably the best AD carry that isn't currently in the LCS. But I mean, Cop is here now in Challenger as well.
Very true. And not only that, everyone on Coast, they have that LCS experience from one place or another. And this is something that the members of Call Gaming are not really going to be able to fall back on. They're a lot less known. And, you know, guys names like Darkflight, Lucid, they have been around in Challenger, but they're not necessarily on everyone's radar. And that's what the advantage may be, that they're kind of unscouted. But the bans are just about done. You see Nard taken off the board. Pretty obvious. A Ziggs takeaway too. Environmental actually plays a lot of these big range mages. And he's kind of been the hard carry for the team so far.
Yeah, and they've been taking these away from him. And just to reiterate to you guys, if you didn't watch previously since we went over the brackets and everything, these are all pre-recorded. The games are. We aren't, so we have no idea who's actually won or lost in these. But they were pre-recorded to prevent, you know, DDoS and to keep the tournament integrity intact during the online portions. So little bit of that, and also it's on 419, and Azir is disabled. So if you want some Azir, you're not going to get it this week, unfortunately.
You might get some more Janna, though. That's a first pick right there over for the side of Coast, so they really have prioritized this champion. A lot of teams across the board today.
Yeah, Janna's been one of those champions that has been really hit or miss, too, but her disengage power as a support is something that no other support brings to the table. Like, she is the best at that job, hands down.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of offensive and defensive abilities used. So there we go. The Lee Sin has been left up as well. Call Gaming looking to pick that one up. It has to be a takeaway from Impaler. He has been so dominant on this champion.
Yeah, you have to take that away from him. Even when he came over here, he started playing solo queue, and a lot of clips emerged very quickly of Impaler's like Lee Sin play. And really, I think he's actually gotten better since he's left Europe. Like, we've seen a lot of him and a lot of his flourishy and very flashy plays.
I think so, too. Yeah, he's really been stepping up his game, so that takeaway pretty obvious there. Now, we've seen Soraka kind of making a resurgence since her rework. There has been a lot of rumblings of the team's practicing here, not so secretly, and that's kind of been on the back of everyone's minds. With Janna off the table, it makes a lot of sense, but they don't need to pick it just yet. They go for Lucian instead.
Yeah, I do think it will be eventually Soraka, though, because Soraka beats Janna in lane, and that's why she's so powerful at this moment. I was talking to a lot of different people, and she's got so many different starts. You can start Crystalline Flask on her, you can start Spell Thief's Edge, you can start the Coin. All of them are very viable, and she's very versatile in that regard. So, and her heal is up all the time. You basically have your AD carry 2v1 the lane. So she's extremely strong.
Walking ambulance.
State. Yes, a walking ambulance. Sometimes a much faster ambulance, too.
Yep, when you're below 40% health, that new passive helps out, but it looks like Rengar, of course, was let through. We didn't mention that, but Coast eyeballing that one. Impaler definitely no stranger to this champion, and the Rumble, too.
We mentioned it, actually, in the first cast.
That's true.
Today.
We did a little bit.
Impaler's Rengar when we were looking at shorter races. We were saying, you know, he's one of the better Rengars here, and Impaler is definitely the best Rengar in this tournament.
Definitely probably.
Yeah, definitely probably. I said probably, and I was like, retcon that. He's definitely the best Rengar in this tournament at this moment.
Some serious confidence there. But they do lock it in, as well as the Rumble, too, so some strong picks for Coast already. It's pretty hard to ban these guys out, especially with the experience and the champion pools they have.
Yeah, and also the fact that there's there's so many top lane bans today and throughout. Like, we were watching, you know, all the games, and top lane just seems to be the pool of champions that people are trying to pick away from the most. At one point, you know, in previous patches, it was mid, because there was just so many different things that people had to get rid of. They're like, we don't want to play against a Zed or a Ziggs or things, or Syndra, like things like that. Now it's like, all right, we got to get rid of Gnar, we got to make sure Maokai's not on the table, ban away a Rumble too. So they're just trying to thin that pool out as much as possible. But Rengar got through, but also Rumble. I'm sorry, the splash art from Rumble threw me off there for a second. It was like Rumble got through for them.
Yeah, well, of course, there's still a lot on the table here, and it looks like Aurelia is going to be the answer. And we'll see if Darkblight's able to really make use of that. It is a good late-game champion to deal with Rumble, but still, those equalizers can turn a fight incredibly quick. And yeah, even though Azir's being hovered, I have a feeling
they're just trolling. They're just trolling straight up because there's a Shaco there too, or Shaco. Yeah. I keep getting poked on that one. It's Shaco.
Really?
It's Shaco.
Is it supposed to be Shaco?
I believe so.
All right. Well, yeah, I very much doubt that would get locked in, but still, it would be a fun game to see.
Yeah, it's, you know, you can't lock in the Azir, though.
No, well, they go over to Orianna, which makes a lot more sense, too. There is the submarine combo ability there, although Janna kind of de-synergizes with that. It's a bit troubling, but, you know, if they're able to pull it off, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what they do, but they do end up locking in the Orianna there to get the little kitten yarn ball. I hope he goes with that skin. Throw it onto Rengar and just get that submarine, like you said. It takes you by surprise. It's very, very quick, and especially in Impaler's hands, I think this will be very, very just teamfight oriented from Coast all throughout. And if they lock in that Graves, which they do, that's a ton of AoE damage very, very quickly. They're looking to just teamfight and blow people up in the mid game.
They have an incredible cone of burst as well. Yeah, so they're really able to make those fights count early on. Now, real question is, what do they answer back with? They've saved Environmental for last. He has typically been this team's hard carry. He's the rock that they're going to need into this game. But what does he take?
He's got to take something more AoE focused. They banned the Ziggs and the Jace away from him, but he's not going to be able to have either of those champions up against this lineup that's so teamfight oriented. If he goes with something very single target based, this entire lineup is very single target based from them. And that's a problem against this teamfight composition because Coast are smart enough players that they will group up very quickly and they won't stop grouping. So getting picks on them is very difficult.
It could go something Syndra, but he ends up going with Karthus. And now this isn't the first time Environmental has played this at anywhere near a competitive level. It's really been unusual, but he is that kind of player, and we'll see if he does lock it in. I mean, they're kind of relying on unusual stuff to be able to throw Coast off.
Well, sometimes you do have to do that as a player that's on the big underdogs. Like I said, it's the 1 versus the 12 in terms of seeds on the ranked 5s ladder, the first versus the last that we pulled. And you have to bring out all the stops. You have to make it so that they don't know what's coming at them. Take them off guard.
Well, you can't exactly dodge a Karthus ult, so we'll see if they're able to maybe make that one count as we have the lock-in finally completed. I mean, this is going to be a hard game to call. I mean, Call Gaming, they're definitely underdogs in this one. Let's not mince words there.
Yeah, we're not going to sugarcoat it. They're huge underdogs in this, and especially with the team composition that they've drafted for themselves, Coast look like they have a much healthier composition for the type of game that they like to play. I believe that since Impaler's joined the team, he has been the shot caller for it. With Mash, you know, he's a very vocal AD carry. He's going to be able to back all of this up with his Graves play, and then they're going to have Sheep doing some extra calls on the side. Chris has not always been the most vocal player, and Jez, he just likes to wave clear and be a rock for his team. So I'm really interested to see how this team shapes up, because Coast are one of the tournament favorites.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been saying they're probably even higher rated than Complexity Black in some cases. So we'll see how that does turn out for them. This is going to be game number 1. But before we get started, I want to remind you guys to hit us up on Twitter at LL Esports using the hashtag LCS expansion. Let us know what you think, predictions or otherwise, or highlights from today. We'd love to hear it.
You're getting good at that.
Thank you. It's touching.
I was like, oh, man. I didn't even know we were going to throw that at you guys. But keep the conversation going. Give us some tweets. Tell us what you think and who you think is going to win. Because we have many more games coming on.
Oh, yeah, and at least 2 or 3 more today. We'll find out. But it is going to get going, loaded up on a Summer's Rift in just a moment. I like this comp as well from Coast. I think it does fit something that they've been wanting to do for a while. The Lee Sin takeaway was pretty necessary, but they left so many options open, and it is so hard to ban this team out. What are Call Gaming's real win conditions here?
Right now, it's just pick, and honestly, they have to get an early game lead before the mid-game group up starts. So a lot of the laning phase is going to have to go in their favor. They're going to have to push this bottom lane as much as they can, and they're going to have to make sure that this middle lane doesn't get out of control, and they set Environmental up to have this mid-game presence as a Karthus. But the thing is that Karthus, his late game, is really where he shines. When he has a lot of items and the AD carry can get blown up by him pretty much unconditionally. He's like, all I have to do is die. You know, I have to be in the fight, and he will be dead at some point. They also have a scaling top laner, so they didn't set themselves up to counter type of composition like this, so they have to do it through gameplay, and Coast have to be caught off guard multiple times. Like, Coast has a really good composition. They would have to, like, mess up. Which it's hard to say that. Like a level 1, you're like when a team doesn't draft well and another team drafts incredibly well, you're kind of like they didn't set themselves up for multiple win conditions or for win conditions that suit their team composition too well, or their playstyles.
Yeah, and in this case, it's kind of been a little bit, it's off-putting, but it's not necessarily doing something that Coast couldn't handle. The Karthus is going to be quintessential to the way that they want to work their team, but as you mentioned, his most effectiveness is when he's dead. And they need to be able to sustainably fight out this one. I don't know how this is going to work for Call Gaming, but again, they are relying on pulling out some unorthodox strategies to throw Coast off guard. We'll see if it works. Level 1, nothing crazy right now, and Call Gaming not really interested in even trying.
Just getting very minimal information about each other. They know kind of what side each other started on, but Lee Sin's going to go and move to the complete other side. So Lucid throwing them off a tiny bit. Impaler is going to start on that top side and then see where he can roam after that. Boot start in the mid lane for Environmental alongside his Biscuits, just trying to close those gaps and make sure he can get off his Skittles. I guess they're not too much Skittles anymore.
Well, they're kind of, they're still Skittles. They're just
Soul
made
Skittles.
up of like very dark sorcery.
The Skittles look
They
like
taste a little
in the
more
underworld.
bitter.
They taste like death.
Yeah, well, hopefully that's what Environmental is thinking, since they're going to want to make some early game action there. Now MASH is really getting a lot of burst on, even with the sustain that Stunopolis is bringing. It's going to be hard for him and Rockin to really take this lane by storm. I mean, Graves, a lot of people have said, you know, he's in some senses a weaker Lucian, but he also is an incredible team fighter. That cone, the burst he has, once he hits 6, it's going to be something that's hard for Call Gaming to deal with.
Yeah, the burst here and the AoE composition that Coast has set up for themselves. Really, Call Gaming are going to have to push this bottom lane out, but it's MASH. MASH is a very mechanically skilled player, and it's Sheep, who both these guys, actually everybody on this team has been in the LCS at some point, except for Chris. Actually, yes, no, he was on Velocity.
Yes.
He was on Velocity.
That's ways
So
ago, but he still had experience.
All 5 of them have been in the LCS at some point, be it EU or NA.
It's all the League of Legends Championship Series. That's exactly where these guys are hoping to make it. MASH hanging out there. And we're not going to probably see Impaler too much till 6. He's definitely a more conventional Rengar player. On the other hand, Lucid should be looking to make some early plays. He has this double buff available, eyeballing the mid, but Jez he's not only one of the safest mid laners really around, but he's on one of the safest mid laners around.
We have seen Orianna's get ganked at level 2 today. I've seen stranger things than this. But
of course, Lee Sin doesn't have a bola.
Yeah. He does have this, though, and he's trying to look for a bit of counter jungle. Not too sure what it's going to do for him. He may have been looking around for Rengar as well, and I'm not sure how much that would have worked out for him either if he had found Impaler. Rengar is just a really good duelist early on.
Yeah, well,
and
Lucid,
he can lock you up. I know it's Lee Sin, but the fact that also Jez's was pushed out and he has heal, if he was able to come to the aid of Impaler, it's just a bad hypothetical situation that I'm going through here for Lucid.
Yeah. Well, Lucid's going to look for the greater team plays anyways. That is his mentality. He is the team shot caller along with Stunopolis, so they're going to want to try to combo up. I wouldn't be too surprised to see something bot, but the problem is a Janna Graves lane is pretty safe, so Dragon Control is going to be kind of iffy for a little while until a clear lead emerges.
Yeah. Lucid just trying to counter jungle a bit, and it also delays Impaler's level 6, you know, so there is credit there for him. Because if you delay that level 6 even by 30 seconds, you're helping your team out a bunch.
Yeah, pink ward's bought by both the junglers too. A lot of vision control looking to be set up here. Not too many wards placed since the start of the game, but we have seen a huge leveling up, as we mentioned earlier, and just overall in the challenger scene, and of course a lot of the talent influx that we're seeing, you know, particularly from Europe on this Coast squad, has been helping that out.
The vision ward already being placed down on that red side, making sure that there's no invades to go to that bottom lane. This is one of those lanes that if you're Coast, you're expecting Call Gaming to be a little more aggressive in this lane, because it's the one lane that they could just completely snowball out of control very early on and stop the mid-game setup.
And that's a pretty big win condition for Coast as well. Not only does it suit their style effectively, but Call Gaming has a lot of trouble in the laning phase. They tend to lose or go even. Rarely will they win it outright.
Yeah, that's words from their coach too.
Even they acknowledge it.
Yeah, they're like, we lose a lot of laning phases. Like, it's a problem.
Yeah. Well, Coast definitely knows this as well, looking to exploit it. Now, Darkblight not getting too out of position, but Impaler is playing the patient Rengar right now, trying to wait for the opportunity to strike. Chris looking tasty all he can, but Darkblight's not interested in this. He's playing it out very safely, but he might be tempted by some nice CS right here. Here we go. This could be the start of it. There he goes, gets the jump, has the bola. They might find this one. He's going to flash away, however. No first blood for now, but they do pick up a summoner for all their troubles.
It's a good reaction on the Equilibrium strike there. Chris still tanking.
They want to go for it.
If he keeps running, he's going to hit that bush.
Oh, wow. They're going to double flash for him, too. Heavy investment, but it's going to be first blood for Impaler. And they took their time about it, but Darkblight could have seen that coming.
Yeah, as soon as Darkblight feinted off to the right, on the bottom side of that lane, Impaler said, I have to flash this over the minions and hit him with it because he's not going to allow me to get to the bush first.
And meanwhile, in the bot, Mash is having a little bit of trouble as well. Rocket and Sunopolis are going to find they have some summoners to burn through, but there's a few of their
TP.
own. Uh-oh, there's a TP now. Rocket isolated. Sheep might actually be able to kill him. An auto attack is going to do it. Sheep is going to answer back, and now Stunt's in trouble because Chris TPing in is going to make that 2 kills for none. Favor of Coast.
Coast going crazy already. 6 minutes in the game, 3 kills and a 1.5k gold lead, and they've set themselves up for a position that's going to get them some vision on this dragon if they want to take it, but no, they're not going to. Instead, Impaler, he's going to get vision of the enemy jungle and just counter them a little bit.
Yeah, definitely a safer move for Coast. They could have tried for that one, but they didn't have Impaler directly in the area, and they knew that Lucid was in the area as well, so they didn't want to risk a smite steal and giving up some of the lead they've managed to accumulate. Meanwhile, the mid's trading pretty even. Environmental hasn't had any trouble from Jez's right now, which makes a lot of sense considering how passive he does tend to play.
Jez's likes to be the rock of the team. That's really what he's done when he was on SK, and now he's doing that here on Coast. He just likes to be very consistent in his play. Orianna is right up his alley in terms of champions he would love to play, and when he has the opportunity to. Just go even or come out ahead in CS. Like, that's really how he operates, his typical MO.
Blue buffs being picked up by the mid laners. So with that happening, this is still a very, very early game. Not an intense lead here for Coast, but if they can keep up this kind of pressure, this is the sort of thing that Call Gaming really has the trouble with, and securing that early dragon is going to be key to keeping Call down for the time being. Lucid now moving around, going to clear that ward out nice and easy.
I got a comment on that.
Hello.
Get bubbled.
Supportal combat.
Yeah, they're going to go straight for this.
Call needs this dragon right now, but this is a little bit of a gutsy move. They don't know where the jungle is just yet. Fortunately, he happens to not be in the area, so they will be able to smite that one down. 4 members combining up to grab themselves a little bit more global gold, so Impaler going to have to settle for a red buff while all of that happened. Call Gaming get themselves a little bit back into this.
Well, he picked the red buff over it. He was doing that thing way before Dragon was started, and Mash going in hard here.
Yeah, Stunt. Wow, they're not level 6. He doesn't have the tidal wave available just yet, but Mash does. They're going to find Rockin as well. They get him caught up for just a moment, keeping on going, but there's a teleport in for Darkblight.
Oh.
Rockin, he might be able to pick him off here. He does. The cone comes in. It now becomes a 2v2 with Darkblight coming around the side, looking for Mash right now, but he won't be able to find him. Not enough damage anyways, and Sheep was left completely alone. So 1 kill to 0 goes in favor of Coast again.
And meanwhile, up top, because the TP went out, it's going to be Impaler and Chris just pushing this top turret down. Great rotations here by Coast to back up their members.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to take the tower all the way through, but Lucid with the defense there is going to push them off it. Nonetheless, they got some serious damage out of it, and Coast is definitely looking to try and snowball their early game lead.
Okay, something I actually wanted to comment on is that pink ward that Sheep put in that tri-brush on the bottom side of the map. That's extremely important because he tucked that thing into the left side of that bush, which means that if you try to kill that pink ward, you're coming even deeper into the blue side territory of Coast. So if you just put that thing in the middle of the bush, people are going to see it very quickly, very easily. If you put it over there, it takes longer to get to, and it's more dangerous to clear. So just tiny things like that are things that Sheep knows and loves.
Yeah, and this is something that comes from the experience that he's had. Sheep definitely considered a very, very top-tier challenger support. He's had LCS experience, like we mentioned, everybody on Coast does, but you know, he stands alone in a lot of ways too, and he used to stand out as a pretty huge Thresh player. Obviously, Janna has been much more popular lately, but it's little things like that, and it makes it difficult for CG to really respond to this kind of pressure that they're putting out.
Impaler looking for a gank. He has his ultimate. He has 5 stacks of ferocity right now.
Yep, should be pretty painful if he
does. He's on the pink ward too, so he knows that they have no vision here.
Rockin doesn't seem that interested in going forward and trying to trade. He's been on the receiving end of far too much damage. Lucid is going to come in and make this a 3v3 if they take it. Both junglers unaware of the other's presence, and Impaler will be coming in.
He's going to see the exclamation point.
That's going to happen. Rockin, he's going to dash away, but they might be a little too late to the party. Here comes Lucid and the Monsoon. The Karth Assault's not going to do hardly anything, and they're going to be able to find themselves another kill. 5-0, and a pretty big lead for Coast as they just wallop on the AD carry of CG.
Yeah, basically did nothing there. So the exclamation point came out on top of Lucid's head, but he had nothing. He probably wasn't even looking there. And Darkblight, he's getting dueled right now by Chris. No turret.
Yeah, he's got the Equilibrium Strike, but for how long is that going to help him out? Wasn't long enough. Darkblight's got to run behind some minion lines, is able to get a little bit of shots tanked up by them for the Harpoon, but now he has to burn his flash, and Chris is just wrecking him right there. Still pretty even in the CS department, but Chris just doing the outplay.
And jumping back to the previous fight that we had, Impaler, really, really good on that Rengar. And you saw it there where he threw the bola out before he jumped, and it hit Lucian mid-relentless pursuit. And that's what locked him up. So really, really good play there, and it's showing why, at least I consider him the best Rengar in this tournament.
Definitely making a contention for that title as well. You got to see everybody play, but I'll give it to you. That was a fantastic showing right there. Now Chris able to put a little bit more damage on this turret while Darkblight gets back to lane. Still not hit that power spike with the Trinity Force just yet. Still able to duel okay for the time being, but Call Gaming has to get it together here. Rockin has been focused so intensely this game.
Fighting over the big golem here. Darkblight wants it, Chris wants it.
Who's going to get it? Let's find out. No smites available. Looks like it's going to go over to Darkblight last second.
And he needs that too. Every little bit helps. Every little bit.
Even if it's 53 gold. So,
hey, man.
Lucid, yeah.
It's a sixth of a kill.
That's true. Man, you do math on the fly. I don't know how you do that. Minute and 50 seconds left on this Dragon. Coast looking to secure the vision control of it for certain, and they'll be able to pick that one up. They did lose the first one to Call Gaming, bit of a sneaky maneuver, but with a solid gold lead already in their pockets, they're looking to be able to take this next one.
Clearing out the wards, exactly. They want to take the next one here. Sheep with the Sightstone, preparing the area. The last 3 minutes, or that minute and a half, and look at this.
Oh, they're on top of a ward, unfortunately.
They're seen, but they want that blue.
They do want that blue. So does Lucid, though. I think he's going to take his time about this one. Talk about Environmental a second. I mean, he's been a pretty decent. Most people aren't thinking of Karthus as going even. I guess we can't talk about it now because Rockin is going to get the culling on. Stunopolis taking some damage as well. Lucid makes his face shown, but that really didn't do that much to Mash, really.
Yeah, Stunopolis has not been having good bubbles at all. His Aqua Prisms have been off, and they've been dodged at the same time by Mash. Oh, look at this. They're going to go for a dive on Environmental.
Yeah, he should be pretty easy to take out. Gonna burn his flash. They jump on him, and Paler's going to be able to get the one for that. Wall of Pain is out. They're standing in the lay waste. This is a little bit of trouble for them. Could be answered back with the first kill for Call Gaming, but they juggle the aggro so effectively, and they all get out alive.
Really, really good play there by Impaler, and the rest of the team just coming around, wrapping around. You know, Environmental has an exhaust. Just, it's too fast. He's not able to get it out in time.
Yeah, it's difficult to stay alive if you're Karthus.
Oh, yeah, it's very difficult. And that's why you take that Summoner spell, but didn't even come out there to help him.
No, but he did burn his flash, nearly got away from that one, but Impaler wasn't having any of that. Now, Rockin will find himself down in the bot to pre-push for just a moment. That will get a little bit more gold back into Call Gaming's coffers. However, they're still looking at a pretty rough deficit right now, and they need to start getting some picks of their own. Yeah,
they do, but at the same time, there is a Dragon up for them in 5 seconds. And Coast, Impaler's backing right now. He's going to go by. He's going to be a little more powerful than he was previously. And now the Dragon is actually going to be started up by Call Gaming.
Yeah, they didn't have the timer last time. Coast didn't, so maybe they weren't sure about this one. They are going to spend a teleport to make sure they can get this one. The Dragon's not actually regenning, so they've managed to pull it as far to the pit as they can, trying to zone with the ball, but Lucid's now here. The wave is down. Call Gaming's going to try to finish this. 3-man shockwave, though. I don't know what price they're going to pay for that one, though. This is going to be trouble. Lucid, Mash, getting the kickback. Karthus ult's on. He's going to go down anyways. Lucid staying alive in the back of the pit, but it won't be for very long. So far, they've taken down Mash, but a double kill for Impaler, and they get 4 for 1, even losing the Dragon.
Exactly right there. Call Gaming, they did end up picking it up for themselves, I believe.
Yeah, so they've got total Dragon control this game, but that's about all that they've got.
Yeah, it really is all that they have in this game. That was a really good flank there by Mash and Sheep coming in from the right side, and then the equalizer that Chris threw down, really on point. And Jez's 3-man shockwave, like this team, like I talked about how they're looking for, just by composition, these mid-game team fights, they're getting them right there. 10-1, it speaks for itself.
Absolutely, and that is a huge gold swing for how early it is in the game, about 5,000. Despite losing Dragons, despite getting one turret taken away from them, yeah, they've got 3 now. It doesn't even really matter the way that they're pushing this one in. So they continue to really roll over Call Gaming in, you know, what is pretty much turning into a very rocky mid-game.
Yeah, well, we expected this type of mid-game if Call Gaming didn't get their feet off the ground, and Coast is not a team that lets up. They're going to continually fight, they're going to continually group, or at least put themselves in positions where Mash can split, they'll group otherwise. Like, it's just this great dynamic that Coast has, and it's a shame that they didn't make it into the LCS previously, but they did swap out some members right before. And they are a really high-grade team for Challenger, and with the acquisition of Jez's and Impaler, I don't even know if... I think they might even be stronger than they were before.
Yeah, well, you were talking about Impaler definitely being your choice for the strongest Rengar this tournament. He's seriously made the plays, gotten quite a lot of kills, not even having the Feral Flare completed just yet. And yeah, 4-0, that does speak for itself. He's done incredible this game.
I said they haven't looked stronger, but I do love Santorin. That's the thing.
Fair point.
That's true. That's true. Santorin's a really good jungler as well. And he's very similar to Impaler in terms of champion pool and the champions that they specialize in. Santorin does have a little more Nunu under his belt and a little more like Kha'Zix play, but they both play Rengar and Lee Sin at a very, very high level. And look at this.
Bit to the dynamic. Oh, he's going to get spotted by that red board. This is the one thing that has been saving Call Gaming from making really bad decisions, but it doesn't even matter. The Shockwave double. Lucid, he has nowhere to go, and he's going to get a kickback, but he's going to get kicked back to Fountain, and they're still going for this one. Scattered engages all left and right. It's like a weather call. One more shot would be all it takes. Mash, he wants it, but he may not find it. Impaler shouldn't have any trouble mopping it up, and he's going to be able to. Now Stunopolis, I don't even know why he was there. That was a lost cause.
Yeah, you expect the bullet to come out, but no, he just walks up and yells at you, and you're dead.
That's how you know when your health bar is low, that you can get yelled at and die.
And it happens with Cho'Gath all the time.
Sometimes he wants to be quiet. Oh my goodness, that burst. And Jez is going to flash over the tidal wave. Exhaust is down. Here's Rockin'. Jez is still tanking damage on Orianna here. Mash now getting in behind the tower. They really want to get these kills, and all the while, Chris is splitting down bot. There is no response from Call Gaming. They have to do something if they want to stay alive.
Coast want to keep grouping and just have one person split push. You know, Chris is the perfect person for that too. As soon as he has TP up, it's going to be even better. But when they get these team fights in their favor, it's just enormous for Coast because they set themselves up for these win conditions, and they're not going to let up. Knowing Coast, they're going to keep this pressure on, and they're going to try to close the game out before Call Gaming even has a chance to come back.
Yeah, this is a pretty huge swing here, Coast, and they're just not letting up any of the pressure. Grab the game by the horns and do not let go. That is the strategy they've been employing, and it's working out pretty well. In fact, the one death they had off that dragon fight earlier, honestly, if it hadn't been, a bit of a mispositioning and Mash just getting caught in the back of the pit with nowhere to go, they'd still be perfect.
Yeah. Oh, they did lose a turret. Not perfect enough.
Not perfect.
Got to get complexity.
They lost two dragons.
It's true.
Yeah,
the two dragons that they let fall over, but they always got something for the dragon. They went up top, started getting some turret pressure. They got a kill. They're at least trading things for those dragons that are almost equal value very early on.
Well, and the fact that they've been managed to out-team fight in every situation. Here we go, Impaler jumping on a Rockin'. I don't know if he's got anywhere to go. The bull is down. He misses the flash, and Impaler gets a legendary kill. It's 18.5 minutes.
And he's 8-0-1. He is extremely fed on that Rengar. He's been taking all of the kills. Just as like 007 over here, not getting anything for himself.
Well, I would say Impaler's definitely the 007. I think you got to give... Jez is probably in the background there feeding him all the information the way it's been working out.
Pretty much. He's been coming in from the sides, and that is the sneakiest Orianna I've ever seen because he comes in and there's these shockwaves right off camera that are hitting like 2 people.
The unseen ball is the deadliest.
Man. Happens in dodgeball all the time.
Well, these guys haven't really been able to dodge that ball. Those shockwaves been landing absolutely massive this time, and they're starting to fire down inhibitor turrets, continuing this split push. Chris is completely unchecked. Darkblight is afraid of him, and there's the teleport in. They're going to go all in on this tower. The bubble does land. Good timing there from Stunopolis, but they get the tower anyways, and they're just making it look easy at this point.
Oh, yeah. Making it look extremely easy, and using that teleport for the utility port.
There's the 2-man. Jez, he gets one, and collateral damage. Hello. They find another pick onto Lucid. Environmental having to flash away. Chris, it's a double kill going to Jez as he finally gets a couple more for himself. And Darkblight, he's going to go down. Karthus ult, it doesn't even matter. They got an inhibitor. They can keep pushing. It's 20 minutes, and they're looking to possibly end the game.
The death timers are still really low right now. But yeah, you're right. They're going to go after this turret. They have everybody up at this moment, and it's just the bot lane at this point.
Yeah, Rockin' and Stunt, what can they really do against this? These towers are melting. It's like a hot knife through butter, and everybody from Coast is making this game a huge effort from them. The Nexus starting to get poked down. They've lost both. They are going to back away from this one, try to shore up their lead, but what a lead that they have.
The call looks like it's just completely back off. Jez has wanted some auto attacks there, and it might cost him. He's going to have to run through turret for this one.
Yeah, he does have the Command Protect on him. Lucid is on the chase. He wants to find something. Will connect with the Sonic Wave Resonating Strike, but the return is going to be a little bit brutal for him. They have caught people here. Jumping in, Jez is down. Mash is trying to help. A huge on his hourglass on environmental, but then he's down anyways, and they trade 1 for 2 so far. Chris, they might make it a little bit more. Lucid does not get the kick the way he wanted. They're still going to follow up, and they should be able to finish him off. Resonating Strike come in, it's a shutdown. 3 kills for 1, but all the same, Coast still in the driver's seat.
Very hesitant play there from Coast. That looked like a split call to me. It looked like some of them wanted to stay on the Nexus and just end the game. Jezz was throwing auto attacks as Orianna. Wasn't going to do him too much good.
Oh boy, Lucid, hello,
God.
goodbye. Mash, they might pay for this one. Darkblight though, the rest of the team is here. Collateral damage, not enough. Mash just needs an auto attack, but Exhaust is on. Rocket is going to make him pay, but wait a minute, suddenly a Rengar. Rocket, he's down, flashing over. That's going to be a double kill for him. Looking for a triple. Have some sushi tonight. That's what they're getting. 3 kills for the Rengar.
Is that him? Is that Impaler? What did he just do? He just wrecked that entire team. He has 12-0-3, going absolutely crazy this game.
He's about to wreck the Dragon too. I cannot believe how big he has gotten. I'm sorry I ever doubted Zyrene. You had the best Rengar right there, and I couldn't see it.
Oh, his brush usage during a team fight is absolutely mental. He is going crazy this game.
Yeah, you don't get 12-0-3 for nothing. I mean, that is absolutely insane. And he's got 3 items. He's got a Feral Flare. He's got Boots of Mobility. Okay, now he gets, just straight up buys a Blade of the Rune King.
Yeah, he scared me coming out of that bush, and I'm not even the person who's jumping on there. That was ridiculous. I was talking about how Jezz looked like he wanted to end the game, and then Mash was already down by tier 2 turret. He's like, I'm out of here. I'm booking it. I'm the AD carry. I do the most damage to the Nexus, but I don't want to do it just yet. And instead, they back off, cost them a little bit, but Impaler makes them go even. And look at that, environmental. Just he's not taking care of his position. He's not environmentally conscious.
Oh boy, there we go. Yeah, he has been in so much trouble this game. Yes, Karthus is useful when dead, but only for a few seconds. And this Baron should be a pretty easy take right now. There's nothing Call Gaming can do to even try and contest it. No vision really anywhere on the map for them. A couple of token wards in their own jungle, and they're just falling to pieces.
Yep. Completely shattered here by Coast. 24-4, 18K gold lead, 23 minutes in. The gold lead is it's really close to trying to exceed the number of minutes in the game.
Well, there's an interesting stat for you. Well, the towers are falling pretty quickly as well, and Coast is here. They're knocking down the front door, and it looks like nobody's at home. Environmental is going to try one more time, but can he even get away? Wow, that was a massive pick, and it ends up being Chris is able to do that one. They are going to be able to pick off this this other inhibitor, excuse me, and keep on going for this. There are no Nexus turrets. They have a numbers advantage. They can make this happen. The tidal wave doesn't even go where they need it to. They're diving on the fountain right now, waiting to end this game. Big shockwave connects. They just want to pad those stats, and they've got this game in the bag. They know it. A massive game number 1 in 24 minutes is going to go over to Coast Gaming whenever they feel like they're done messing around.
I don't know if they'll ever be done with that. Look at that. Impaler, Sheep. They just want more. There it goes.
The minions made him end it.
I see you, Impaler.
I see you.
I see you.
Nobody else saw him, though.
I see what you did there.
That guy was...
I see that point.
That guy was pretty scary.
Yeah, that was extremely scary. Like, I would not want to play against that at all. A completely dominating performance there from start to finish. And I think it's going to be a clean 2-0 after that. That was quite incredible play there from Coast.
I think it's definitely going to be a really, really rough hole for Call Gaming to climb out of. And let me just go ahead and guess there's going to be a Rengar ban next game.
Yeah. Oh, well, how much money do you want to put on that one? You're betting man?
Well, yeah, as much as you want. Let's go with that. What's the over-under on Rengar this game?
I'm going to go 0.
Yeah, okay. Well, with all that, I mean, we're going to get into the next game, but yeah, just take a minute to breathe for a second because there was no chance. That was a no contest match. Yeah. Call Gaming, I mean, they could not do a thing, and it wasn't the picks necessarily.
Some of it was the pick and the composition that they made for themselves because they didn't leave options to counter this.
That's true.
But a good portion of it was the play, right? Like that is it's like 80-20 on that one, right? Like the fact that like Coast probably could have beaten them with a different composition as well. But the thing is that Coast just set themselves up with a great composition that just added that extra boost. And you want everything in your favor when you're playing for your job, for a professional match.
Yeah, they really need to, Call Gaming rather, really needed to have themselves more than 1 or 2 win conditions. Everybody knows that they have some trouble in the laning phase. Coast took full advantage of that. They got Rengar ganks out even before 6, and they were able to make some serious plays. So you can't really come back from something like that when your team doesn't really group up and try to take some objectives and do things off the back of, you know, just being slightly behind. They just got more and more behind the entire time.
It's hard to group. There's a timer on that, especially with the composition that they made for themselves I want to talk about, because you don't want to group against a Rengar with an Orianna, and then you have just that Rumble up top. Like, you don't want to group against a single Rumble. You throw an Orianna in there too, who's going to guarantee a Shockwave on somebody because he's going to get rooted by Impaler's Rengar. Like, it's just a situation you don't want to put yourself in. And they didn't set themselves up with something else like a pit composition. It was kind of like a Karthus Lee Sin, Aurelia scaling thing with a Lucian down bottom who's supposed to kind of maybe win lane, but it was just a really weird composition there.